Welcome back to Icons of the Dragon Ball community. And joining me today, a very, very special guest, a person who I never thought I'd ever speak to, but he's here today with me. He is a hardcore fan of Dragon Ball, a hardcore fan of anime. He bleeds and sweats and loves the series, but also he is a highly trained, high level professional athlete, and he is the bridge between being a jock and being a nerd. And I say that jokingly because I think we're all kind of like that as men, but he's a very special person. Please welcome from the Green Bay Football Packers of the National Football League, number 76, Mike Daniels. How you doing, bro?
Hey Danny, what's going on, baby? How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Hey, it's so crazy to talk to you because you hit me up for WrestleMania weekend. I couldn't see you there because it's a bigger stadium and there was a bunch of stuff going on. But finally, we're able to talk now, and I'm looking forward to talking to you, bro. You're probably the most. I mean, you're definitely the first athlete I've ever had on this series, bro. I've talked to voice actors, I've talked to authors, I've talked to even film directors, but you're the first, and YouTubers. You're the first like professional athlete I've had, so I really appreciate you taking time to talk to me.
Well, man, look, first of all, thanks for having me. Like, you don't understand, bro. I do a lot of traveling in the off season, you know what I mean? And then obviously during the season. And I always take your videos and I'll just listen to you talk. Like whether it's, you know, this Geekdom channel here or World of Geekdom or K Fabulous Lucha Bros. Like seriously, with my relationship with the guys in New Day and you guys on like listening to you guys on K Fabulous, like you, it's helped me get back into wrestling. So I love listening to like you talk, man. I love listening to you interview people. I love listening to you break down a series, and bro, like to be able to be part of this is amazing. I remember the first time I listened to one of your videos, I said, man, that'd be pretty dope if I actually was on the video one time. And well, here we are.
Yeah,
So
and it's the
trust
first of
me,
many, bro. We'll come back and do more of these.
first of many, bro. Absolutely, absolutely. I would love to be a friend of the series, man.
Yeah, and now I will say about the New Day, what's crazy about the New Day specifically is that, I followed those guys like before they were famous. I've told the story to you privately, but like I remember seeing Kofi Kingston at Press Box, which is like it's like a restaurant slash like bar that shows WWE pay per views back in the day in like 2007, like way back then. I'm pretty sure I saw him there, and then in 2007 I saw Xavier Woods when he was Austin Creed working the
Yeah,
indies. I seen him, and I think it was right around 2010, 2011. No, it might have been 2012. I saw Etor, Big E, in Florida Championship Wrestling. So it's just crazy that those three guys, like, I guess that I live in Florida and there's a lot of wrestlers live here, bro. I
yeah,
seen those
Tampa.
dudes, yeah, before they got big, and now they're huge. Now they're like they sold they're like the top five merch sellers, I think.
Yeah, like look, they can't split their group up if they wanted to because they have such a unique gimmick. And at the end of the day, when you got three brothers with a crazy gimmick, man, that's gonna pop for a long time, bro. Like that's gonna pop for a long time, dude. So like, yeah, they're gonna be around for quite a bit, man. I'm excited for them. I'm excited to keep watching. Like
Yeah,
they,
and and, and
excellent.
let me tell you this, man. That tag team feud they had with the Usos this year, that was like probably my favorite tag team feud in years. That
Yeah,
was
they work
awesome.
well together, man. Yo, them dudes like they get after each other the right way, man, and they work well together. They work very well together, and that was brilliant. It was almost like you didn't want it to end, but you knew it had to. But then it's like, I don't want it to get oversaturated. Like they'll come back to that. Put it like that. They'll come back to that feud. They'll
I,
they'll find a way to come back to that. I feel. I feel.
I hope so. Now let's talk about you, man. Let's go back to when you were a kid because I think what's interesting about you as a person now and kind of your how prolific you are in the fandom is that you play for the NFL, which a lot of people, it's the biggest sport in the United States without question, highest ratings, just it's the biggest thing. And but you're such a humble dude, but I think a lot of folks listening to this right now or just I think a lot of them are kind of maybe awestruck at the fact that you're such a hardcore fan of anime and Dragon Ball, and how much you're such a proponent of the series. And and we'll talk about the anti-bullying thing in a minute, but I want to go back to when you were young. You grew up in New Jersey, from what I understand. You're not from Green Bay.
Yeah, no, I grew up like about 15 minutes from Philadelphia.
That's crazy. Yeah, well, there's a lot of history there, of course.
Oh yeah,
I was an Eagles fan at one time too, bro. Uh,
yeah. Tell him, man.
I knew.
The four NFC championships before they get a Super Bowl just to lose.
Well, what's funny about that year is I don't know if you remember this, but this is a while back. But I remember when they first brought Terrell Owens to the Eagles, and I
Oh yeah.
remember we were excited. But I'll never forget during the press conference, Andy is like the coach. He's like, "Please welcome Terrell Owens," and then the first thing he said was, "Andy, it's Terrell," and I was like, "Oh man." What does this mean? You know what I'm saying? Like, you
Man,
kind of knew
we
he
knew
beats to his own
exactly what
drum.
it meant, bro. We knew exactly what it meant.
You remember
Like,
that?
yes, yes, bro. Yes, it's terrible. You know what I'm saying? But then I don't know if you remember this, but there was a commercial where I think they had like a couple different clips. They saying Terrell Owens, Terrell Owens, Terrell Owens. Then he says it's Terrell. And I'm like, all right, I'm confused now. I'm confused.
He was just, I think he was just messing with people, bro, at that point.
At that point, he had to, man. Had to be. There's no other explanation. It was funny because he used to actually get his hair cut at the same barbershop that a lot of my cousins went to. So, like, they would see him there all the time. Man, they said he was like the coolest dude in the world. They
Yeah,
said he
no.
was like just a normal dude, bro.
He kind of got like a rep as being kind of like a bad boy, but I mean, you know how you know how it is. Sometimes you say something and people misconstrue what you say. You know what I mean? And I think that I've always said this, bro. I think we all have a good and bad side, which we're gonna talk about because
Yeah.
Dragon Ball and you how you are is very close to that. You know?
Hey, man, that's how you gotta be. You got who you are, as a person. You never lose that. You never lose that. Or you shouldn't allow yourself to lose that. I firmly believe nobody ever loses that. They just sometimes can get so wrapped up in whatever they're doing that eventually their character or their person eludes them, and now they're something completely different that they either love or hate. Like, I know you watched that 30 for 30 Ric Flair documentary, and he was saying like there was like he was no longer like Richard Flair.
Yeah, he
He
couldn't
was
be Richard Flair.
exactly, bro. So like that happens sometimes. That
Yeah,
happens
yeah.
sometimes with sports, man. I was just telling my wife, like, man, it's crazy how some guys they get so wrapped up in everything that comes with being a professional athlete.
They
They
lose they lose control of reality sometimes, right?
And then when they retire, they don't know what to do with themselves. And end up being some of the most miserable people you've ever met. And they'd be like, I wish I never played this sport ever. I wish I never became a famous multimillionaire professional athlete because I wouldn't have this misery right now. But at the end of the day, that's their fault because they didn't keep themselves in check. And sometimes you can lose sense of reality, man. But you got to always remind yourself, man. You can't never lose where you come from. Can't forget where you come from. You know what I'm saying? And then, with that being said, it's always easy to be yourself, and that's why I push so hard to bring guys like I try to let guys know like, yo, it's okay to like be an anime fan and like this and like that. Because remember, once upon a time, being a Marvel or DC comic book fan was considered nerd stuff. Now that's
Yeah,
the
you
modern
were considered a
expression.
loser.
Yeah, and now everybody wants a piece of that pie. That's the cool thing to do now.
It's
You know,
crazy that yeah, when you were if you were a comic book fan, you were considered like a loser and a nerd. But now the biggest movies every single year is Star Wars and comic books every year, like clockwork, bro.
every freaking year.
Yeah,
So that's my thing. I just want people to be like, first of all, I want the anime fandom to know like, hey, all these football players and stuff you see, we weren't all the stereotypical jocks that was giving people wedgies or whatever. We are you guys. We just so happen to grow a little bit taller or wider and excel at sports. Like some of you guys are great at math or are engineers or are great, YouTube personalities, you know what I mean? Or are in the WWE, you know what I'm saying? Like we are out there too, don't believe the hype because a lot of it is just hype, bro. Like you wouldn't believe how many people on my own team just would come up to me randomly. Hey man, Mike, man, so like young guys, mind you, because they're young and they're still trying to find their way. You know what I mean? Like, hey
Yeah.
man, so you really you really like that Dragon Ball stuff a lot, huh? And I'm like, absolutely, bro. What's up? And I actually
Yeah.
had one of my teammates, tell me, man, Mike, keep doing what you're doing, bro, because you got a lot of guys that love that stuff, but they're afraid of trying to fit in too much. Yes, that happens in the NFL. It's like high school all over again. They're trying to fit in too much, and they're like, oh, well, I got to be like this. I got to dress like this. I got to act like this. Instead of just saying, you know what? I love this. I'm going to do what I like. That dude's over there dressing up like a comic book character. We can't say nothing to him because he'll beat us up. But, like, so it's okay, man. That stuff's okay. So, like,
Well,
not only is it a call to the anime fans out there and like the middle school, high school kids, it's a call to my fellow professional athletes. Like, dude, do this, man. This is like, yo, if you like it, let it be known that you like it. You'll be surprised how many people you inspire. I'm serious, man. I'm
no, and it's interesting because it's also works the other way around. Like if you grew up kind of because I think the stereotype how it used to be is that nerds were either really skinny or really fat, and they were always obsessed with this anime or whatever, and then you had like the big muscular kind of jock guy that would pick on them. That's how it was years ago, and it's so wrong because of what you just said, but also the fact that if you are like a quote anime nerd or a comic book nerd or a geek, my channel's Geekdom 101 and I say it proudly. You have to understand there's a few things you gotta understand. Number one, you can also hit the gym. If you feel like you're too small, there's nothing stopping you from taking more protein, changing
yeah,
your diet, benching, all the stuff that you guys do. Gym memberships are usually about 10 to 20 bucks a month nowadays. So it's not even that expensive. And then you also can get yourself a copy of P90X. There's so many
yeah,
ways to have
yeah.
physical fitness, right? And then like if same thing if you're if you're kind of a heavier guy, you can drop the weight too. And I just feel like and people just are more balanced out, I think. And I think it's become more obvious like the I don't want to say the stereotypes, but the archetypes are just kind of dead, man. And also one thing I tell people all the time, man, is and I don't know how this mentality started. There's a lot of dudes who tell me they're like, I can't find a girl who likes Dragon Ball. Bro, you
What?
just ain't looking. You're not looking. You know
You
how
know,
many women are right?
and look, not even that they don't like Dragon Ball, they don't know they don't like it. Because they've never been, they don't allow themselves to be exposed to it, man. My wife, so I'm watching anime last off season, right? That's how I spend my off season. When I'm not, working on other stuff, I'm, watching anime, playing video games. I'm like, okay, I got a little baby girl. I turn on Sailor Moon 'cause I'm starting to watch, the redub of Sailor Moon. I'm like, all right, let me kind of, actually go through the whole series. You know what I'm saying? I know they didn't finish it in Toonami. Plus, the dub was kind of was butchered quite a bit. So let me go through it, and I'm watching it with my daughter, and my wife comes to the room. I'm like, hey, babe, I know you really support everything I do, man. Come watch this with me. So we're watching it, and she's like, this is so boring. I'm like, all right, well,
Oh.
whatever. So I finish it, right? So later that night, I've been meaning to get back into Hunter x Hunter. I started watching it, and it was like, what was it? It was it was right when the Spider Troop came out, and my wife saw it, and it was just a stereotypical shonen fight going on. I forget who was fighting. You know what? It was Gon and Hisoka in that tournament.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a tournament, but either way, it was when they were fighting in that big tower. And my wife was like, "Yo, this is so dope." Me and her sat there and watched the rest of the series. So much so that when Dragon Ball Kai came on, like during our bye week, you know, because I can't stay up late and watch it the night before games on Saturdays, but it came on and Bobbity was on the TV screen. My wife was like, "Oh, he looks just like a chimera ant," which is one of the little things off of
That's right,
Hunter
Hunter x
Hunter. I'm
Hunter.
like, wow, that's hilarious that she said that. You know what I mean? But so people say, I can't find a girl that likes this or likes that. Dude, find a girl that likes you and
That's
she'll
right.
like whatever you like.
And plus, if you go to any con, you're gonna see all kinds of different people,
Oh,
different
hello,
heights, different weights, right? Like,
hello.
they're out there. Like, I feel like a lot of these dudes just don't explore the world enough because dog. There's women who are just as hardcore about anime as we are. They're
Yeah.
out there.
Well, look at all those female cosplayers and stuff that you see, bro.
Yeah,
I mean, come
yeah, I,
on. That's just like
yeah, the
you say, I can't find a girl that loves wrestling. Where do you think all the women's division comes from? There's a bunch of females that grew up loving the sport. And it's
that's
like, I want
right.
to do this when I get older, bro. I can't find a girl that loves MMA. What do you mean? Look at all these women that fight MMA. Like, yo, they're
There's
out there.
tons.
But most importantly, find someone that's all about you. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, not to get in religion, but all about God. But ultimately all about you. They're about you. They're going to support what you like. My wife is a big music, you know, fan. Like she's into the
Yeah,
arts and all that. Man, whenever a TV show would come on, I'm big on TV, and it would be
yeah.
a musical of like that episode would be a musical. I turn it. I'd be like, man, I can't stand this. Now,
I'm not a big fan of musicals either,
but
bro. I feel
look,
you.
my wife loves that, and now,
Right.
man, yo, our wedding theme was Phantom of the Opera. I'm like, yo, this is tight. Like, what's up? You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Like, I watched that with her, bro, but that's what it's all about. Find someone that's genuinely into you, and then they'll be able to see, wow, I'm into this person. Well, let me see what makes them love this genre or whatever so much. Oh, wow. Now I've actually got a deeper appreciation for you because I understand why you like what you like. Like, man,
Oh, and it's always great when you show them like when they get into the series and then they get to a point that you know is coming. Like for example, you get a girl into Dragon Ball, or if you're out there and you're into guys, or if you're a girl's into guys, whatever, whoever your partner, you get them into Dragon Ball, they get attached to the characters, and then Frieza kills Krillin, and then they react like, oh my god, like
yeah,
like that first reaction that you
yeah,
had. You know what I mean?
yeah.
I love that.
That's the best part. Like, when we marathon Hunter x Hunter, she was just sitting there, and it's so funny because she was so critical, like and mind you, the androgyny of a lot of characters, she wasn't used to that. You know what I mean? Like, she was like, I'm used
It's
to.
Japan, man. It's
Oh man, she
Japan.
wasn't. That was blowing her mind with all the different characters. I'm like, yeah, hey, I was like, hey, honey, welcome to anime. You know, but it was
Well,
awesome. It was a great experience. And my thing is, my look before we like my last thing I got to say about that is find someone that's genuinely about you, and whatever
yep.
you like, they will get into it because of you.
Oh, they'll try at least. They'll definitely try.
Or they'll
I agree with
try.
that.
But sometimes it's just nice to have somebody that can appreciate it and enjoy it. Then they start asking you questions. Now you can explain it and stuff. And it's like, yeah, that's what true love is all about, man.
Makes for good conversation. Let's go back to when you were a kid, bro.
Got
Jersey.
it.
So, when you first, I want to know, okay, what were you into first? Were you a sports fan first, then you discovered anime, or was anime your first love and then was sports?
So my first love was sports. You know, my dad. So back, like, I know we skimmed grazed over anti-bullying, and we're gonna be all
We'll
over the
get back
place.
to that. No, we're going to get back to
Yeah,
that for sure.
but we're all over the place. But trust me, it all connects. Like, so I came home from school crying one day. My dad, my dad was a real accomplished baseball player. The only reason he didn't go to the major leagues is he had gotten a real bad accident in his back. Like he had like multiple surgeries on his back, so he was just done with sports. Period. But like he said, okay, it's time for me to get my, to start toughening my son up a little bit. And that's when he put me into wrestling, then into football. And I've always liked football, and my dad always watched it. My sister loved football. My mom watched it. So like they got me into sports because my dad's biggest thing was he didn't want to push us to just do stuff. But then he saw me come home crying from school, and he said, yeah, my kid's not about to just be getting pushed around like that. And he said, it's time for you to toughen up, boy. and he started putting me in sports, and that's how I got into sports. And I loved me some football, man. I had all the football games, primetime Dion, the quarterback club games,
Oh
obviously Madden
man.
when it eventually came out, the game day games.
I was always a fan of 2K, bro. I love NFL 2K.
Yeah, NFL 2K was so unique, bro, and it was just it's kind of funny to see how like EA like they lost with NBA Live, but
Yeah.
they won with Madden,
That's
whereas
crazy.
like 2K Sports like they lost with NFL 2K, but they won with NBA 2K. Like it's just crazy
It's
how that happened.
crazy. We used to, and remember how back in the day, it wasn't just before the license was exclusive. You had other games like Blitz, bro. Like you had
Yes.
all these other football games, bro. Like now you just got the one. It's like a monopoly. I miss like because if you're a Nintendo kid, right? There were games back then that
Well,
nobody even talks about, like Jordan versus Bird, and like Charles Barkley had a game. Like you
yeah,
can't do that no more because it's all contractual now. You know what I mean?
Joe Montana football, bro. Like, come on, dog. Everybody, like, it was just crazy how that was.
Yeah, and don't forget Tecmo Bowl.
And how about the guys like Randall Cunningham? You being Eagles fan, QB Eagles 12. Like, come on, man.
Right.
Amazing.
So, okay, now, so you came home from school and you were bullied, right?
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I love that. I mean, well, I don't love that you were bullied, but I love the story because, we know if we've seen you play, you're 6 foot, over 300 pounds, huge dude. Nobody would ever bully you now. Um, and back then you were bullied. So, am I safe to assume you were kind of a smaller kid back then?
Bro, I that's why I started lifting weights because I was a scrawny, skinny, lanky, like
I
my
can't picture it.
nose and my ears were too big for my face, and I just looked weird, bro. You know what I mean? And then I liked anime and stuff, and I was a huge nerd, like straight A, like real smart kid, straight A student. I loved like quote unquote weird stuff, and especially being black, bro. You was not fitting in being like that, not at all, bro.
Whoa.
You know what I'm saying? So it was, man, it was tough, and I was a skinny dude. Like when I got to high school, I was like a buck 30. You know what I mean? So
That and I was gonna actually mention that when you were in high school, you progressively got better and better.
yeah.
From what I understand, during your senior year, you got 97 tackles and 12 sacks. Like you improved every year.
Oh yeah, no doubt. And those people don't realize I was a running back in high school. I was a 1,000 yard rusher. Like schools, I only had one scholarship offer, but when schools took note of me, nobody was looking at me as a D lineman. They were looking at me as like to be a fullback or a big running back. Like
Yeah.
I when I got to high school, like I told you, I was a skinny dude. I said I'm going to live in this weight room because I'm gonna get so big and strong, nobody's gonna mess with me. Like I was so obsessed with the weight room. My mom used to say stuff like, "You need to get up and clean your room, or I'm not gonna let you go to the weight room this week. You need to get up, get ready to go to church. I'm not gonna let you go to the weight room this week."
She dangled that carrot in front of you,
Bro,
man.
and
That's
I took the
crazy.
cheese, man. I was like, I'm going to this weight room, woman. You are not keeping me from. No, I'm doing this. I'm doing. You ain't gonna keep me from this, bro. And it's funny because
Did you have a
this is crazy.
did you have a personal trainer?
No, I would go online and like Google how do I make my forearms bigger? What exercises make my biceps bigger?
Wow.
What exercises make, my legs stronger? Like stuff like that. And I constantly like just really like educated myself, man. You know what I'm saying? And really just focused on it hard. Like it's funny when I show teammates of mine pictures of myself from my senior year, and by my senior year, I was like 215 pounds of muscle. You know, like guys now look at me and say, "Dude, yo, how did you get this huge?" I'm like, "Bro, you see me every off day. I'm in the weight room for like an hour putting in extra work. That's what I do. You know what I'm
Lots of
saying?
protein.
That's what I do. Oh yeah, definitely the protein. But that's what I'm telling
Yeah.
guys. Like, man, I've been a weight room fanatic from the time I stepped foot on my high school campus, bro. Because I had to be, or else I would have never been able to play football. I was too skinny and scrawny.
You know what I love about that too, about weight training, is that when you're weight training, and it's like kind of the opposite of playing football, in that when you're playing football, you have teammates that rely on you and you rely on them and you work
Yep,
together. But the weight room, the only enemy is yourself. I think Triple
exactly.
H said that once. Yeah,
That is
it's you and you're alone with the weights. So you know what I mean? The only thing that's gonna stop you is you.
exactly, bro. And look, there's no excuses. There's no excuses. That's the best part about
No,
it. And look, the results
I,
speak for
yeah.
themselves. You can tell if you've been working or not by your results.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, everybody's got different genetics, but in general, yeah, it just works out. And do you think that you develop your genetics from your dad, athletically? I mean,
Well, my mom, her and her whole family, they were really great track athletes. Now, nobody really,
oh,
none of them took advantage of that. Nobody had the wherewithal to be like, oh, I'm gonna utilize my track gifts and go to college, and they just was just really fast. You know what I mean? And really in real great shape. Like my grandmom did like a 100-mile bike ride, you know, uh, type marathon, whatever, after being diagnosed with cancer. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's
then the
crazy.
woman died like a year later. But that's just the genetics that come from. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, it's definitely some genetics, but if you put the right kind of work in, you'll surprise yourself, bro. Like you can actually change your genetics. Seriously, like they say that with the way you are, your kids are going to like their genetics are going to be more close to how you were when they were conceived. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, the
yeah,
DNA. Yeah.
exactly. Like you could actually change that. So if like I never blew up to the size I was, my kids wouldn't be, massive the way they are. You know what I'm saying? That's just kind of how it is, and it's funny because each of my kids, I have three of them. They all got
Yeah.
bigger as I got bigger. Like I had my first son, I was like 270. Had my next had my next kid, I was like 290. Had my next kid, I was like 310, 315. And like each of
Mm.
the kid was significantly larger than the other one. You know what I mean?
That's so it's almost like it traveled through like your body into them.
Yeah.
Do you have aspirations of them being athletes too?
You know what? If that's what they want to do, all I can do is encourage them, man. Now I will have them do sports because I think sports are, I think it's great. It's fun. It's fun, especially when you're little. You know what I'm saying? There's no pressure. You're just out there, just having a good time, and you get to meet other kids, and you get to challenge yourself. You
You
know,
learn about
like
teamwork.
yeah, teamwork, and then you deal with defeat. You have to be humble, and win or loss, and that's just I I think it's good. I think it's good to do. I think it's at least worth a try, and everybody doesn't have to go out there and be a big bruising athlete, whatever. But I do think it's worth a try because at the end of the day, human nature, we're competitive, bro. We're
Well,
competitive by nature, dude.
yeah, I'm glad you said that too, because it goes back to Dragon Ball, which I'm going to get to now. I love how you just said they have to learn to lose, because I'm not going to talk too much about this, but I feel like sometimes nowadays I think people get too babied.
Yeah,
People get too, everybody gets a trophy, whereas I feel like defeat is important, because if you can accept defeat, that can drive you to victory. Case in point, not just on the football field, but also in Dragon Ball.
yeah.
People forget the arc of Goku. The dude lost the 21st tournament, he lost the 22nd tournament, and he won the 23rd tournament. And it's like he had to take two L's in the finals. I mean, that's literally like almost sort of like the story of, I mean, it's almost like he made it to the Super Bowl and lost, which I think is crushing. If you make it to the big game and you lose, it's so crushing because you're so close, but yet he finally did it. And I think that's motivational. And I was going to ask you about Dragon Ball's motivation, but I actually want to hold that for a second, and I want to ask you about how you first discovered Dragon Ball and anime. What's the earliest memory?
Okay, so my earliest anime memory was Sailor Moon. I had a older sister, and she would watch that every now and then. Like she was much older, like she's like much older than me, and she would watch that every
Mm.
now and then. I had no idea that Sailor Moon was an anime. and it was like the old Deke dub or whatever. So I mean, I had no idea it was an anime, but I knew it was,
It was a great show.
yeah. Oh man, phenomenal. So that was my first exposure to anime that I can remember. Uh, Dragon Ball. So early Sunday morning, you know, driving in the middle of nowhere in South Jersey. We're headed to a wrestling tournament. It's like the winter of '98. So it was right around the Pokemon craze. I know you're a little bit older, so you might have been like 12 at that point, but like I was the target demographic. You know what I mean?
I know I played Pokemon in '98 religiously. So yeah, I had my copy of Pokemon Blue, bro. And by the way, somebody in high school jacked it once, bro. And you want to talk about anti-bullying? Oh, I was mad, but no, I was all on board for Pokemon back then too, man.
Wow, man. So got jacked, man.
I got jacked, bro. Somebody stole my Pokemon Blue, and some other kid sold it back to me the next day for $50, bro. I've dealt with bullying a lot in my life, man, but we're gonna get to that later.
We're definitely,
So you okay? '98, you're going to a rest. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
oh no, I'm saying definitely gonna we're definitely gonna get back to that. But yeah, okay. So '98, we're in a van, and like we had a television van. Only had like 3 channels, but nonetheless had a television van. It was awesome. And one of the channels, it was the only channel that had a cartoon on early in the morning. I'm like, okay. And I see this blue-haired chick with this yellow weird suit on this freaking planet where the sky and the water is green and the trees have crazy blue afros. And she's like in this robot looking for this orangish yellow freaking looks like a pearl or something. You know what I'm saying? With a star in it. And I'm like, okay, that's definitely not something I've ever seen before, but it ain't Rugrats. It looks awesome. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Right.
I see obviously I'm talking about the episode of Namek when Bulma, went and had to get the Dragon Ball out the ocean, the filler episode. And then I see these 2 weird looking dudes with these shoulder pads and these eyepieces and these hand lasers come out to try to take the gem from the lady. Then the crab jumps up and grabs him. I'm like, yo, this is dope.
And that's one of the worst episodes of Dragon Ball
I
Z, bro.
know.
You're talking about that. That's the funny part. You got in one of the worst episodes.
Yeah, man. Definitely. So ironically enough, one of the worst episodes is what got me into the show. The difference between an 8-year-old and an 18-year-old. You know what I mean?
Right. Well, I mean, it's just crazy because then right after that is when the Ginyu Force would arrive, and then things got serious.
Well, so Toonami, right? I'm watching Cartoon Network, and oddly enough, my first exposure with Dragon Ball on Toonami was, well, not my first exposure, but like when I really started paying attention was when they had the DBZ 20XL marathon.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Vividly.
Yeah, man. So like
what was it about the show that drew you in, man?
It was the fighting, bro. Like, it was just different. It was not like Batman the animated series or Superman or the Ninja Turtles, or like it was nothing like the Saturday morning cartoon type shows and everything. It was, well, I don't think you consider Batman TAS a Saturday morning cartoon because that show was just epic. But it was just different in an awesome way. I'm like, the animation is different. These crazy lights and stuff. And when I looked at it, it reminded me of Pokemon. I'm like, oh. So, being a little kid in 4th grade, I'm like, oh, so the same guy that made Pokemon or the same people that made Pokemon made this show. Awesome.
Yeah, because it has that different art style, right?
Right. And let's be honest, 90s anime art is like, I don't know. Like, I know graphics and computer and everything, but something about that 90s anime art is just flawless at times, for as flawed as it could be. Like, it's just so fluid and everything. But we can have that talk on another video, but nonetheless. So, unless you disagree, which would actually make the conversation better. But anyway, Um, yeah, bro. So I see that. Then I see Sailor Moon again, and I'm like, oh, so these are made by the same people. And I'm like, okay, well that's pretty cool then. So I started recording it, and I just getting VHS tapes, recording everything, and I'm like, this show is so crazy. Like, there's so many characters. I can't pronounce any of their names. Like, man, this thing is awesome. Just the fighting, the brashness of the characters, the fast pace, like we getting it in, And then one thing that attracted me, so I played sports growing up, and
Yeah.
the whole concept of the weighted clothing and the
Right?
gravity and stuff, I was like, wow, I wish that stuff,
You want to try
huh?
it? You want to try it?
Yes, I was like, I wish that stuff existed. So like I can give myself an edge on the field or on the wrestling mat. You know what I mean? I'm like, yo, I wish this stuff was real, man. Like, that's so crazy. So like whenever I would like be working out or something, I would like imagine myself being like Goku, where like I got my weighted clothing. I'll put on like 3 hoodies or something and go for a run and be like, got my weighted clothing on. And then I'm taking it off. Now I'm faster. You know what I mean? Like, I just thought it was so cool, man. So that was probably one of the biggest aspects of the show that drew me in because it directly correlated with being an athlete to me.
I remember when you called me up on the phone. I want to say like maybe 6 months ago. You called me up on the phone and you basically you compared yourself to Dabura and you were like, "Yo, when that scene in Dragon Ball Z when Dabura's meditating and he's got red around him, that's me before a game." And that
Oh yeah,
always made me laugh, bro.
bro. He's like just letting the hate flow through him. Like he's just getting himself ready, bro. And I'm like, that's how I am in my hotel room the night before the game. I'm just letting the hate flow through me. Like, I'm getting ready to whoop some butt, yo. Like it's just so crazy. Like sometimes, sometimes I take a nap. I like pretend I'm like in the rejuvenation chamber. Like I'm getting my body like back together, bro. Like it's just craziness, man. Complete wackiness, but it's like that's the hidden genius of the show, really.
I'm gonna ask you kind of an in-depth, kind of a real introspective question here. You said you were bullied when you were
Yes.
younger. Uh, did the weight room and did sports help you? Because like, were you angry about it? Because I'll be very candid about this. Like, I was also bullied, and as a result of that, I developed anger issues too.
Oh yeah.
I did, and so did because I know when you go in the weight room, you relieve a lot of stress. Was the bullying something that you kind of, and we're going to talk about this for real now in a minute, is it something you kind of carried with you? Because one thing that people don't understand, and some do understand, actually I think most do understand it, but some don't, especially the bullies, is that when you bully someone, sometimes it sticks with them, bro. Like you end up kind of, I don't want to say traumatizing, but it changes the person. It makes them more defensive and it makes them more irritable. That this has been documented in psychology. So I was just kind of curious, like, did sports and did the weight training like help you get some of that anger out? And obviously you're not out there to actually hurt. Like, you don't want to
No,
injure
not at
somebody
all.
because that's not what we're doing. But you got to you got to push your body to the limit to take down the QB or whatever you're doing.
Absolutely.
Did it help?
Like the bullying definitely, like it drove me, man. Like whenever I would do my push-ups or my sit-ups or my squat jumps when I was a little kid, whenever I would lift the weights and be in the weight room, all I was imagine myself is like, I'm not about to be pushed around.
There
Not
you
about
go.
to push me around. Like, uh, who said it was? I think it was a Kings of Comedy. It might have been Cedric Entertainer. It was one. It was a stand-up comedy show, and they said, he was talking about like how he went to jail. He was like, I was in the weight room, like I ain't about to be no B. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. That was Cedric.
yep,
Yep.
yep. And I would think like that, like, yo, I'm about to be nobody's punk. Like, you not about to talk to me how you want to. You're not about to push me around. Like, yo, I ain't about to let this happen. Because the bad thing was like all my bullies from like elementary school. By the time we got to middle school, like puberty hit, and they were like looking like grown men, and I'm still some scrawny shrimp. I'm like, yeah. So it only got worse. So I'm like, yo, I promise you, I'm about to get my weight up. You know what I mean? And like when I see this dude, I'm gonna put my hands on him. Now it never came to that. One, because they, didn't have the testicular fortitude, so to speak, to ever approach me like they did once upon a time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's the thing about bullies is that they're all cowards. That's the real
Huge
truth to
cowards,
this. You know what I mean?
huge cowards, man. And it's funny. So it's funny because actually, some of my previous bullies are like, quote unquote, some of my biggest fans now. You know what I mean?
It's crazy, isn't it?
Oh,
Isn't that the funniest thing?
it is.
An irony.
Oh, super irony. Like my cousin, like I got some, like my cousin and like some of my friends tell me like, oh yeah, so and so said this or so and so said that. Like, yeah, man, we saw Mike, and all they could think is like, man, forget you. Like it's just so funny. But sometimes I occasionally hear from these people on social media or run into them, and there's no point for me to walk around like I'm this big bad whatever. Like, life has already played itself out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you don't want to become the bully. Is the
Exactly.
whole thing, right?
Exactly. So it's like, hey man, Mike, I saw you on Monday night. Like, yeah, man, it was a hard game, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, there's no point. That was all kid stuff at the end of the day. But it still sticks with you. And like that's the one thing about bullying that pisses me off is when, and I said this in my video about my cleats, was you get people that you got bystanders. Okay, not okay, students is one thing, but you got grown adults that stand around watching this happen, yo. I
Yeah,
hate,
yeah.
like real talk. If you stand
I dealt
around,
with that myself a lot too,
bro,
bro.
if you're a teacher, or you're a coach, or you're a parent, like, or if you're in a position of power as an adult, a teacher or a coach, or whatever, and or super or whatever you are, and you're watching and you're just allowing a kid to just get bullied and picked on and messed with by a group of kids or kids bigger than them. If you see somebody that can't defend themselves and you're not doing and you have the power to defend them, you're not doing anything about it, then F you, you deserve to be fired. That's
Well, you're part of the
you,
problem because
you are the
brother, I could
problem.
tell you stories. I
No,
mean, we don't have
no,
time,
you
but
are the
when
problem.
I was in high school, man, I was bullied, and I would tell the teachers, and they wouldn't do anything, and it would get physical. After a while, it just gets physical, and then we'd both get in trouble. And that's not fair. Like, why is and it's like that on the internet nowadays too. Like, people will poke at the bear, and the minute that you poke back, all of a sudden you're the villain. When it's like, no, I told you to leave me alone.
Yeah.
And the dude, and it irritates me because people have the authority and the power to do something and they don't. And then when I have to do something and defend myself, and this is when I was younger, I don't know if it's still like this, but I'm sure it is in some places. I end up getting sent home for out of school suspension because I hit the kid in the face. Well, he hit me first, and it was, oh, it's bad, man. I agree with you. Like, they need to do something about that.
And like, you know, I've worked with kids before. There's not much that goes like where you don't know what's going on. Let's just be honest. If you got a room full of like 30 to like 27 to 30 kids, you can tell when something's going on. You can't sit there and tell me, "Oh, I didn't see that." No, screw you. You saw it. You saw it. You know what's happening. And then on top of that, you know what kind of kids you have. You know who are the problems. You know,
Yeah.
so that pisses me off actually. Like,
And you know what else, Mike? Man, this is the sad part is that sometimes these bullies, the actual bullies, come from broken
oh yeah,
homes, and sometimes it's their parents who make them like that.
all the time.
It's something I think. I'm gonna be real with you, bro. This could be like a systematic problem with humanity. Like, we can do what we can, but I think that since the beginning of time, man, since the Old Testament, the prehistoric era,
Yeah,
I think humans have been like this, man.
yeah, no, definitely. You definitely had that, man. Like, this is clearly nothing new. It's definitely nothing new. But you know, we're shoot while we dealing with it, man. Is we still got an obligation to do something about it. You know what I'm saying? Even if we're just bringing awareness to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think with your message, with when it comes to like you showing the anime cleats and all that, is that you can be a fan of everything. You can be because you know what it is, bro. I'll break this down for you. One thing about men is that, like, and I don't mean to use the word man. I will actually say people, because girls are like this too. Is that we're all kind of nerds for something. Like,
Yeah.
if you're a dude, you could be a nerd for anime, you could be a nerd for chess, you could be a nerd for cars. You know, all these dudes, like, they get, you know how men are, man. We get obsessed with, like, you know, cars, like, you know, all, you know the guys, right? They always look at, you know, the engines, and they know it,
Yeah.
like, so well. Like John Cena. John Cena's a huge, like, car enthusiast, but he's a nerd. That makes him a nerd. Like, if you, and with all due respect, bro, football fans, sports
Yeah.
fans, they're nerds too. If you got dudes keeping track of, like, how many yards you have and all these numbers, you're kind of a math
They're
nerd. Like, that's
nerds.
kind of what you
They're nerds.
are.
Bro,
You know,
there's so many.
we're all
Bro,
like that.
you got like yo, you got fashion nerds out there. You know what I mean? Like, oh yeah, they're so cool with their latest translators, but they're marking out over something that the general public look and go like, that's ugly. You know what I'm saying? But yo, dude,
Right.
they're fashion nerds. That's what they love. But society said it's cool for you to be obsessed with fashion, but not cool for you to be obsessed with this art form, which is animated entertainment. Like, come on, like let's like you said, and I see it with sports too, man. Like the whole fantasy football stuff, nothing but a bunch of geeks.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
sit there
And there's
like,
nothing wrong with
bro, you
that.
sit and there's nothing wrong with that.
Bro, I mean, you realize, and you know this, man, there's people out there who have 3-4 hour conversations about your team, and they'll sit there and they'll dissect everything you do. They'll dissect everything the coach, you know, every decision, right? And then it's no different than when we sit here and we review Dragon Ball Super. We dissect the animation. It's the same thing, and it's like, I try to tell people, man, geekdom, because I think you and I are on the same page without actually, even before we even knew each other. Geekdom 101, bro. The original name of that channel was Epitome of Geekdom. And then I changed to Geekdom 101. And it's all about the fact that, and I made a video a long time ago that it was a very small video, but I talked about it, how at the end of the day, everyone on earth is a geek. So we should not be divided, you know, because of that, because that's how we all are anyways, man. Like, you know, and I feel like nowadays the world is getting better, I think, when it comes to that, because like you said, the Marvel movies and Star Wars is like the biggest thing, and Dragon Ball is so huge, man.
Huge.
Like, I would have never believed that my channel would have grown to be this size, and I've surpassed some other Star Wars YouTubers who are friends of mine, and we're cool. But it's just surprising that even though Star Wars is bigger worldwide, on YouTube, specifically on that platform, Dragon Ball's massive, and it's crazy because I guess it never. I always knew it was big, but I didn't know people still had so much love for it. You know, 18 years or 20 years after it ended, bro, people still love it, and it's back now.
Well, and then you got to think too. So the Battle of Gods coming out in theaters, yeah,
Yep.
that's what really sparked the movement. Goku's getting a new form, word, and now you got all the
Not.
kids who used to have to beg their mom, take me to Suncoast Video or take me to FYI or FYE or whatever. Like
I don't think any of those stores are still open,
none,
bro.
none, by the way, none is still open. But mom, I need to get a new
Fye
tape.
might
I need to
be.
get a new tape. I need to reserve a tape. This, that, and the third. Now they're like, yo, let's take off work this Tuesday when it's at 3 p.m. because it's at this really abstract time that are showing the movie and drive 20 miles this way to go see this new Goku get a new transformation. Why? Because we're all adults now. We all have jobs. We kind of control our own destiny compared to when we were, 8 versus or 10 versus freaking 25. You know what I mean? Let's all get together. Hey, our boss might be meeting us there to go see it. You know what I'm saying? He
That's
grew up
right.
one and two.
That's
Like,
right.
bro, that's what really did it. Now, hey guys, like I always said this. I said Toonami needs to come back, or no, I said they need to show Dragon Ball perfectly dubbed, completely uncensored on Adult Swim. That's what they need to do.
And then they brought in Kai and did just that,
And they
pretty
brought
much.
in Kai and did just that. Like when Toonami came back, I said, it's only a matter of time, bro. It's only a matter of time, bro. It's only a matter of time. And look what they did, dude.
And what's trippy is that you mentioned Battle of Gods. You know, the Battle of Gods English dub in theaters came out a year and a half after it came out in Japan. Resurrection F was 3 months. The 4 months was 4 months. Think about the difference between a year and a half and 4 months. And now we sit here and about to hit 2018, and we actually have, and this is mind blowing. If you were to go back in time and tell me when I was a teenager we'd have this, I would have called you a liar.
Yeah,
We can now watch Dragon Ball Super literally like subtitled with subtitles an hour after it airs on Fuji TV in Japan. I would have never believed it.
ever, ever. Remember the days where like you only had the international channel, bro? Like you would, if you wanted to really see
I
Dragon,
didn't have that,
I
but I
didn't
knew
have it
about it.
either. But we had this, but I knew about it, and I was crazy enough to ask my mom, like, mom, like I asked my mom and dad, like, can we get a satellite, like, just to get this channel? And like my sister, like I told you, she's a military vet, like she's retired from the Air Force, like she's straight military, so she's gonna shoot it straighter than it needs to be. And she told me, like, Mike, are you freaking kidding me? You want
Right.
your parents to buy you a darn satellite for a cartoon? Now I'm not thinking
Bro, and
nothing, you know what I mean? I'm like, what? Now, granted, I knew there was no way it was going to happen, but it was worth a try, right? And because I knew it came on the international channel at this time, so they used to see it on like the old websites, like the Vegeto EX
that's
or
right.
Clan Namek or you know, like Vegeta
Yeah,
Insane. Like I used to see them talk about it all the time. And I'm like, yo, that would be so live if I was able to get that. Never happened. But we had this one channel that every week it would be a different channel from around the world. And one
yeah.
week it was the international channel on Sunday
Yep.
at X time. I made sure I was tuned in to watch Dragon Ball Z, and I was lucky
Whip.
because it was the Cell Saga episode where Ten
Right.
Shinhan did the Shinkikuho. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, yes, 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 yes. Like, come on,
And
bro.
it was not subbed. It was not
Hey, it
subbed.
wasn't subbed, but it was just the experience of like, cause so you remember back in the day, whenever people would show those old screen caps of the stuff that was uncensored and the blood and everything, it'd be like this real grainy footage, and it would have that little eye with the world, the globe above it, you know, in the corner for the international channel. And I was like, wow, I'm actually able to watch this.
No, I remember watching those because I had to download them. Yeah, the international channel. They were in the Cell Saga when over here we had just started the Frieza
Yeah,
Saga, like on Cartoon Network and whatnot.
exactly.
And then you had Telemundo running it in Spanish. You know, down here. I don't know about in Jersey, but I know we had that down here, and they were also ahead.
Oh,
And if
Telemundo
you
had
were,
Dragon Ball.
yeah,
I
Dragon Ball
didn't know that.
Z,
I would have
Dragon Ball
been
Z.
watching that. Okay. And by the way, that is
Yeah,
that the Spanish dub or the Mexican dub? Because one of those.
the
Okay,
Mexican
because
dub. Yeah,
that one, they say that one before Funimation really started lighting it up with Kai and Super. They say that dub was the best one next to Japan.
well, I can't speak other languages, but it is an amazing. Like I can't speak like German, so I don't know. But it is an amazing dub. Very accurate to the Japanese, and I like how you said Shin Kiko. See, that's the beautiful thing is you can tell you're a real fan because you didn't call it the Neo Tri-Beam. Now, I'm not saying if you use dub terms you're less of a
Oh,
fan, but I still find it interesting that you are familiar with both terms. You know, and that's the beautiful thing. What I have said so much is that if you really love Dragon Ball, you're not gonna care what language it's in, bro. It doesn't matter if it's Japanese with subs or English dub. Doesn't matter if it's Chris Sabat or Ryo Horikawa or if it's Sean Schemmel or Masako Nozawa. Like, whenever somebody bashes Nozawa, in the back of my head, I think, okay, I understand having a preference for Schemmel, but first of all, don't ever disrespect that woman around me. That's a big
no,
mistake. That's number
no,
one. Number
don't do
two,
it.
like they gotta like. I feel like it's like, are you? I don't want to say that they're not as hardcore, but dog, I don't care who's voicing Goku. If there's a new episode of Dragon Ball, right, of Super whatever, I'm gonna watch it. Like I don't care. Like I don't care. I don't care if it's Italian. I don't care if it's Greek. I don't care what language it's in. Let's pretend that Dragon Ball is not Japanese. Pretend it's from Hong Kong or whatever. If it's in Chinese, I don't care because the series is, it's addicting, bro. It's an addicting show.
Well, and that's so funny because so what? I remember being in like fourth grade when I got my first fan sub. You know what I mean?
That's crazy. I never knew you were fan subs.
Yeah,
I never knew
bro.
that.
And I was a kid. I was like, what was I? 10, 10. I was 10 with fan subs from Japan, bro. Like that's being or 9. I was 9 when I got my first ones. You know, I turned 10. But it was like this is so different. I'm like, hold on. You mean this episode doesn't end at this point? Whoa, like I said, they're bleeding, they actually die. Whoa, like there's some swear words. Granted, there was some gratuitous swearing, you know, but nonetheless, there was some swear words. And then what really popped me when I was like, yo, cause shout outs to Pioneer. Cause when they did the first 3 movies,
Oh, don't even get me started,
bro, I
bro.
was like, yo, this music is off the chain, bro. And when I listen,
Yeah.
when I was watching the fan subs, I was like, yo, that's the music from the Carter Jr. movie. I was like, yo, that's so crazy. I love these. I used to watch them scenes just to hear those tracks, bro. And I'm like, yo, this is the. And come to find out, that was just the score of the show. But I didn't know that at the time. You know, I'm 9 years old, 10 years old with fan subs. You know, so it was just crazy because I had some friends that eventually became like when the DVDs came out and you could get the Japan like the bilingual DVDs came out. I had some friends that
Yes.
finally got
Yes.
exposed to Japanese Goku's voice and so obviously everybody always say why does Goku sound like a girl? But
You get
no,
used
no,
to
you
it, bro.
definitely
Like
get
I
used
understand
to it,
that
bro.
reaction at first, but you do get used to
Well,
it.
you
Yeah.
do, but imagine being see you probably dealt with that as a teenager. Imagine dealing with that with like a bunch of 11-year-olds. Like, can you imagine
Yeah,
just
but the
how
thing,
like they just didn't understand how awesome the original content was because it wasn't what they were familiar with.
yeah, but here's the thing, Mike. It's weird. This is a weird thing. I went to a predominantly black and Hispanic high school in the hood. That's where I went. And I would bring fan subs of Dragon Ball Z, and not a single person, black, Hispanic, white, yellow, red, purple, whatever color you were, whatever creed you were, whatever ethnicity, I don't remember a single person in that entire high school ever complaining about Goku's voice because it was new Dragon Ball. I brought in when Trunks sliced Frieza in
Oh yeah,
half, and people could not believe it. They literally, because remember the Frieza saga, they had built up Frieza for so
yeah.
long in the Ocean dub, and then like they're seeing this guy Trunks just come in there and just body him literally, and people, not a single person cared because they wanted more Dragon Ball. Like I don't, it's weird because I feel like that complaint is from the generation after us in a weird way. I don't. A lot of folks from
No,
my
no, bro.
generation
Trust
never
me.
cared
See,
because it was
yo,
fresh. It
it,
was
it
fresh.
started.
You know what I
It
mean?
started with my generation because my generation we were able to have the bilingual DVDs. See, if you're like 10, 9, you're not thinking of, oh, I'm gonna switch it over to Japanese. You know what I'm saying?
That's right.
But I was
That's
telling my
right. Yeah.
friends like, yo, you got the DVD, yo, watch it in Japanese. Tell me what you think. Now, mind you, they've already seen. See, because it wasn't new Dragon Ball to them. It was just, oh, I want to have the DVD for home. You know what I mean? Because I like this show. Now, like, yo, watching Japanese, and then they would all say the same thing, like, dude, the music sounds like Scooby Doo music. Like it sounds older, it sounds weird. I'm like, what?
It's supposed to sound like that though.
Exactly.
That was
It's
done on
dramatic, like, but
purpose.
they couldn't grasp
Yeah.
like the dramatic, you know what I mean? Like how it was supposed to be so dramatic and everything, and the feelings that was supposed to be conveyed just through the music itself. Like that's one thing me and my buddies talked about in college was like music can really, improve in anime. Like, you know what I'm saying? It really can. So, but it was just funny because a lot of my friends, like you said, it wasn't new Dragon Ball to them. It was just, oh, this is the show we've already been watching. I've already seen this episode. Okay, now let me watch in Japanese. Oh, this is weird because I'm not used to it. I don't.
Well, I think, yeah, and you're right. There's always that like transitional period. I think the big one for me though, Mike, was the censorship
Oh,
because, like, for example, if you're watching the original edited, heavily censored Ocean dub, when the Saibai man blows himself up and Yamcha dies, you don't even see Yamcha again.
no.
Like they show Bulma crying and Roshi and all that. But if you watch the Japanese version, or actually, I first saw this episode in Spanish. they show his corpse, and you know it's become that famous picture of Yamcha, you know, the
Yeah.
Yamcha dead picture, right? Where he's, I don't think people understand. In 1998 and 1997 and 96, that picture did not
No.
exist in North America.
No. No.
That's the tribute. It's become,
No.
Mike. It's become a
And
meme,
now it's a
and
meme. Now it's a freaking
and
bro. It's a card on Dokkan Battle. Like,
that's right. It's an April Fool's card.
bro, exactly. Or like so. Shout outs to so one thing I will say, Funimation did an excellent job, bro. Was allowing a lot of the blood. You know, no,
Yeah, they toned it. Yeah, 'cause it was on cable at
yes,
that
they
point. That's
allowed
why.
a lot of the blood. Now, the only thing blood it didn't allow was dripping blood or blood splatter. But Gohan's arm was shattered when he fought Cell, and they let all that
Yeah.
show. You feel me? And I'm like, bet. You know what I mean? But if it was just too over the top, they didn't show it. But one thing that popped me, it super popped me, bro. Super popped me because I seen
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
many screenshots of this, and I'm like, man, I wish I could, like, oh, I wish I could see what this looks like for real. When who was it? It might have been Piccolo. Had that flashback after they got wished back to planet Earth, right? When they were on Namek. Piccolo had that flashback. And they showed when he killed Goku and Raditz, and they showed the Makanko Sapo go through both of them dudes. I was like, okay, they're just showing it. Then I'm like, okay, I saw the view.
And they're puking up
Bro,
blood, and yeah, that was
bro,
violent.
but I'm saying like when they showed like the back of them in the air first. I'm like, oh, okay, you know, we saw this. Then it goes to a wide view of them from the side. I'm like, wait, hold on. Then Goku's back bulges out and the beam flies out, and then it just shows up
And you're like,
hanging
wait
on
a
the
minute.
beam. Now they didn't show the
I don't
blood
remember
splatter,
this.
but they showed the beam go through them. I'm like, oh my goodness, yo, they are not playing with the new dub. Like they are really letting us see much more. I'm like, thank you for finally letting people see what really happened to Goku and Raditz.
Yeah, and going back to the Yamcha scene, you know, they had that whole extra sequence that was not in the original dub, where Krillin's like grabbing Yamcha's corpse is just lying there. He's dead, and Krillin's sitting
Checking
there,
his
and he's
pulse.
like, yeah, he's checking his freaking shoulder. He's moving him around like, is he and I'm just looking at this, right? And I'm like, there is no cartoon on television right now that has ever done this when I was a kid. Even Batman the Animated Series and
Yeah.
X-Men, which were great shows. I love those shows to death, man. I love those shows. I love Superman. I loved the Spider-Man cartoon, Sonic the Hedgehog. They all kind of push the boundaries. But seeing a body there and having another person check on the dead body, I have never seen that before on American television until like I watched that episode and I said, and that's when it hits you like, okay, this is a different kind of show. Then as you become more of a fan, you realize that Japan and Japanese animation, that's normal
That's
for
normal.
them. They do that's
normal.
nothing.
Now,
Like especially back then in
that's
the
normal.
90s.
Now, granted, it's definitely toned down now compared to what
Now it
but
is. Yeah.
that stuff was normal. Like that was okay. Because first of all, the show was meant for teenagers. That's what people always forget when it came to the States. Oh, we're gonna baby it down, bro. This was originally meant for teenagers. You know what I'm saying? But
In fact, it was actually meant for kids from like 3 to like 13. It's like kids and teenagers, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Dragon Ball, like you talking about the original, like when it originally.
Yeah, in Japan, yeah, Shonen Jump was marketed to kids too, is what I'm saying. It
Oh,
was kids and teenagers.
well,
Yeah, and that's but everybody likes it though.
wow, I thought the age group was like 10 to 15 or 13 to like 17. I didn't know. Okay,
No,
nice.
bro, Japan's a different culture back then.
Oh,
Totally different culture.
totally
They,
different.
they did not care, bro.
Yeah, yeah, no, bro, that's another topic for another, bro. Me and you got a lot to talk about, man. Like we're already an hour
Yeah.
and 11 minutes into this thing, or I don't know how long, and it's like,
It's a little less than that.
yeah, but like we haven't even really gotten to the meat and potatoes, of everything, bro. but hey,
Well,
hey, it is what it is.
yeah.
But yeah, no, it was great to see that. Like, and I think they kind of dropped the ball in their censorship because, for instance, remember they had to take the scouter off of Raditz's dead body.
Of course, they cut that whole scene out. They showed a picture of the sky in the original.
Well, no, in the original dub, they showed Krillin and Bulma like going like, "Well, do you want to do it? I don't know. Do you want to do it?" I'm like, "What are they? Are they worried they're just grabbing the scouter out of a puddle of grass? What is it?" Like it didn't. I'm like, wait, are they
Yeah,
like
yeah.
why are they worried? Like they dropped the ball on that. They didn't cover that one up very well. And I'm surprised a lot of people didn't catch on to that. Like, why are they so concerned about grabbing this? Goku's body disappeared. You know what I mean? But then they tried to say, well, that's because Kami took him to, So I'm like,
Which that was
which
true. I mean,
that
that
was
actually
true.
was the
But
reason.
then it's like, so
Yeah.
Reddit's body is still there then. But they
Yeah.
didn't. They like just kind of look. I don't know. It's just like that crab falling off the tree when Raditz first landed on Roshi Island, like or Kame Island. You ain't
Kame
nothing
House,
past
yeah.
me, baby. I'm seeing it all, dude. The freaking they went to grab the scouter, and they were petrified or terrified. I'm like, why are they so scared right now?
Maybe they thought he was alive. You know
No,
what
no,
I
but
mean?
what
Maybe
I'm
he didn't
saying
really
is
die.
like they didn't want the audience to know that there was a dead body laying right there in the original
That's
dub.
right.
And I'm like, why are they sitting there so scared to grab? Like, what are they worried about? There's nothing there, right? Or is it?
No, Mike, the worst ones when Tenshin Han got his arm ripped off and he
It'll
said,
grow back.
"Just wait till it grows
Wait,
back."
grows
That's the
back. Ten
worst
Shinhan,
one.
man, they made him like a sucker. Which my arm
Like,
grows
bro,
back
you ain't
or the
Piccolo.
parachute line. Like, come on, man. Come on.
You can see their
Hilarious.
parachutes. They're alive,
Oh,
guys.
those were
Yeah.
just cargo robots. Ah, stop it. Good thing everybody evacuated the city. Napa, bro. They were all literally just standing there.
Dog, they evacuated in like 45 seconds somehow.
If they could evacuate that
Yeah.
fast, then they should be the ones defending the Earth from you, not Goku and them.
That's right. No, but the thing is, after looking into it though, they kind of had to do that because that was Saban's whole thing.
Yeah.
Like, they sort of they not they had to, but they felt they had to. But if you notice, and I've talked about this in the past, when the redub happened, it was right around 98, 99. The world kind of changed because that was when I always found this very fascinating. We had a cultural shift happen in 98, 97, 98.
Really?
Everything became.
See, I
Huh?
never thought of a correlation, but continue. This is very interesting to me.
Well, yeah, we had a cultural shift because if you think about what was big in 97, 98, South Park, Attitude Era wrestling,
Mm-mm.
and video games got way more violent. It kind of started, I feel, with like Mortal Kombat. They really
Yeah.
kind of pushed the envelope. So the late 90s was all about like things getting edgier and edgier and edgier and
Whereas
edgier.
the original Ocean
And I
Dub was
feel
mid '90s. You're right. Power
that's what I'm
Rangers.
saying. I
Yeah.
feel like I feel like they realized they were like, okay, we don't have to censor it that much. You know what I mean? That's what they realized.
Wow.
And that's the big difference. I've always noticed that. And that's why, like, when people talk about stuff like, oh, the Attitude Era should come back, it's not going to work
No.
anymore because we've been so desensitized to that stuff. Seeing, like, the kind of overly sexualized stuff they did back then with like Sable and Sunny and all that, it's just not gonna work anymore with the internet and the kind of stuff you can find on there in 2 seconds. You know what I
Right.
mean? It doesn't work anymore, But I've always found that is a reason why. It's like the 98, 99 really got like. Remember also like that's when like Eminem was coming out and really I think hip hop music, and your boy Science can probably vouch for this. Hip hop music's always pushed that envelope too, but it really became more accepted and more commercialized in the mid 90s with like Pac and Biggie, and they got even more. I guess they pushed the envelope even more in the late 90s.
Yeah.
So I think the whole U.S. like was kind of
Yeah,
shifting, and that's
because
why I think the
Eminem
censorship was
definitely
better.
came out at that point, and he
98.
was edgy. And then let's not forget this too. You talk about sexualized stuff. Britney Spears came out that time too.
That's
The hot
right.
school
That's
girl.
right.
Oops, I did it again video. So it was like,
That's
yo,
right.
we are
You ain't even lying.
turning the tide of what
Bro,
is considered little kid stuff, and like
Mike,
Oh.
man, Jerry Springer was
Yes!
big in
there you
98.
go.
Girls Gone Wild was big in 98. I think 1998, bro, when we look at like the history of mankind, is a pivotal year as far as the shifting in entertainment goes, man. I really feel that way. It's weird, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's like, hey, we're going to try to offend you. Like the Simpsons were considered edgy, but South Park really just flipped. Oh, mind you, by the way, Family Guy came out in '99.
Was it 99? I thought it was like 2000.
I
Let me check.
think it
Let me
was
check.
'99. Look, put it like this: if it came out,
Futurama was right around then too,
but if
yeah,
Family Guy came out in 2000, it was being produced in '90. That pilot was being made in like '99 because it premiered on the whatever every
Yeah, you're right. It was definitely
yep,
99. Yep, I completely
yep.
forgot
So it
about
was a
that.
Super Bowl. It was came in right after Super Bowl. And then okay, let's look at professional sports. We went from having, Michael Jordan, the great competitor, to Allen Iverson, tattoos, rap music. I'm from the hood, you know what I mean? Like, think about professional athletes, bro. That
Yeah, they
tide
be. Well, I mean,
changed too.
we always had, but we also had freaking O.J. Simpson, and I mean, that's a whole
Oh, that's a
different
whole
story,
different
though.
story. But yeah,
That's
we
a whole
had
different
like
story.
Allen Iverson, bro, the most popular athlete probably in the world at that time, was a straight bad boy, dude. And he
Yeah,
changed the culture
yeah.
for all athletes with the tattoos and, you know, being cool with all the
Very,
rappers and all that. Like,
very brash, very brash guy.
yeah, like he's the one that really set it up for what you see with a lot of us today, bro. Like, so in all uh entertainment areas you saw that, man.
And I think anime became more accepted because the reality is, bro, in Japan, it's all normal for them back then, but for us, it was a more, I don't want to say better because that's incorrect, a more sophisticated art style. The storytelling was different too because I think people don't understand how big Dragon Ball was, how it
No,
really changed the
they really
world.
don't.
Because cartoons back then, like, you had some serialized storytelling. You had some of it. X-Men did a fantastic job seasons 1, 2, 3, and 4, where you had like week to week storytelling, especially season 2, right? When Professor Xavier and Magneto are in the Savage Land, and meanwhile the X Men have to fend for themselves. That was the arc of the entire season. They had Mister Sinister was the villain in the
Yeah.
first episode of season 2 and the last one, and I thought that was great stuff. Then you had like Batman had some continuity too, but Dragon Ball was like the first show I remember where it was literally like cliffhanger, 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 cliffhanger,
Uh-huh.
cliffhanger. Back then, cartoons were episodic. Like the Turtles had like a couple of things here and there, but by the time season 4 and 5 of the '87 Turtles happened, which was in the mid '90s, it was just episodic. Like you'll have one week where Michelangelo will hang out with Mondo Gecko. Then you have another week where Leonardo's like obsessed with some painter, and like the episodes never correlated.
No.
It was just individual stories. But Dragon Ball, you had to watch every single
Yes.
week,
Yes.
and look at what's big now, Mike. Man, Breaking Bad, and all
Yeah.
these serialized
Yeah.
shows. Now, I'm not saying Dragon Ball inspired it, but I think Dragon Ball opened the doors for that generation to get into serialized storytelling so that now we're all grown ups.
Yeah.
Now we watch Walking Dead. Now we watch all these
Yeah. Just
shows,
think about it. Everything was like X-Files, Monster of the Week type of show. You know what I mean? Or like New York Undercover, Case of the Week. You know what I mean? It was just there was no it wasn't like just straight continuity. And now look at the cartoons nowadays, bro. Like look at how much continuity is in like a show like Adventure Time. They were
Yeah.
genius with how they did their continuity. It was very
Yeah.
theme of the week type of show, but if something happened last month, like 4 episodes ago, you were going to still see the effect of that later. Rick and
That's
Morty
bad
does a great
storytelling.
job of that. Like you see that with these shows, man. Not to say Rick and Morty is a kids show by any means, because I did say kids shows, but back to kids shows, like look at, well, and these are more like, oh, okay, no, let me backtrack. We talked about how Dragon Ball was made for little kids. You got blood and guts and swearing and killing and fighting. Dude, look at the Cartoon Network shows now. You can
Yeah, man.
arguably say these shows are very
Or worse.
complex. They're for teenagers. They're not for little kids.
Yeah.
You can't watch
Yeah.
Adventure Time and uh uh which is I think they're I think they're done now, but them or a regular show or even Teen Titans Go, that's for teenagers, bro. Like very inappropriate for little kids, but hilarious for teenagers.
Yeah, but the little kids love it, and
Oh yeah,
I'm
oh
actually gonna
absolutely.
ask you a question about that, because like one thing that's interesting when you analyze like numbers is during the Attitude Era, that was very adult pro wrestling, but yet they had more kids watching than ever.
Oh yeah.
Do you feel? Do you feel now in 2017 with the way the internet is structured and how easy it is to find almost anything on there that's inappropriate? Do you think that that's a bad thing? Do you think the kids are kind of growing up too fast? Do you think they're being desensitized to a lot of this stuff? in your opinion?
Well, it's all based off of the exposure. Like whatever you allow your kids to be exposed to. You know, if they're getting desensitized, that's the parents' fault for allowing them to watch this or watch that or engage with this or engage with that. You know,
Yeah.
that's all on parents.
But it's so easy, Mike,
Oh no,
man.
it
You
is
got kids
easy.
with
Bro,
cell
no,
phones now.
it's too easy. Too easy. You know what I mean? But like with anything, parents can regulate it. That's my opinion. I feel like parents can regulate stuff. You know, then if you really engage with your kids the way you're supposed to, they'll respect what you say, honor what you say, and they won't just go out and consistently cross you, just like, well, screw that. I'm gonna do what I want. Now, yeah, they're gonna test the waters because that's what we do as youth. We're idiots. You know what I mean? We're curious
Yep.
idiots.
We always
That's
do it.
just what it is. But as a parent, you have to leave that room, that margin for error. You have to understand, like they're going to test or try or whatever. But it's just a matter of do they have the respect for you to be like, I don't want to disappoint my parents. I don't want to disappoint my mom. I don't want to disappoint my old man, my dad. You know, not a, oh, I don't want to piss them off. It's a, I don't want to disappoint them. I don't want them to look at me and go like, yo, like,
Right.
like,
But they're gonna rebel because every kid goes through that phase when you rebel against your parents a little bit. I'm not saying you're gonna become, crazy and break stuff, but you always want to break because you know how when you're a kid, bro, you want to break out of that shell of being under your parents and you want to be a grown up, and then when you're a grown up, you want to be a kid again. You know,
yeah.
so then it becomes on the parent to kind of, and I don't have any kids, so I don't have any experience in this, but I feel like it depends on the parent to kind of figure out, like, okay, they're rebelling. How do I handle this? I really don't know how to handle that, to be honest with you. I've never dealt with it before.
Well, it's just consistency, man. They got to know that they can. First of all, your kids have to feel like they can talk to you about literally anything, and that starts with you talking to them about stuff that you be like, I don't even know if this is
You wouldn't even tell your parents?
right. But if you open that doors for your
Yeah.
kids, bro, they'll be more apt to be like, yeah, I'm gonna be open with my parents because kids they need that, bro. Because if they don't learn from you, they're gonna learn from their buddy who definitely doesn't know better. It's just a fact.
Yeah.
It's just a fact.
So when it comes to you pushing the anti-bullying stuff, man, what is your ultimate goal here? Because my thing is, I'm very anti-bullying because of two reasons. Number one, I don't like bullies. I was bullied myself, but I think it, like we talked about earlier, it definitely has a psychological effect because it had one on me. And I know there's probably people out there who deal with it every day. In fact, I've talked to cosplayers, very pretty girls, bro. People think that only fat kids get bullied, or
Man, what?
that's everyone gets bullied, bro.
Everyone gets bullied, man. Like, dude, bullying,
Like
bullying,
what's your
bro.
yeah,
Adults
go ahead.
get bullied. It's just different.
Yep.
It's just
In the
different.
workplace, it happens all the time.
Yeah. Or like hating. That's bullying. That's bullying. Because
Yeah.
really, bullies
Yeah.
bully people. Not to sound redundant, but bullies pick on people because they're jealous that they don't have the confidence that that person has to like the quote unquote weird stuff they like, or to or no, they don't have the confidence that that person has to not care what you think.
Yeah, and I think the whole thing about your life is that you're kind of, and I'm not going to speak for you, bro, but it's almost like you're trying to show people, like, look, I'm an athlete, I'm a professional athlete, which is what you are, and it's like, for number one, professional athletes are not bullies. That I mean, I'm sure some are, but there's probably tons of stories that we can't talk about, but I'm sure they're out there. But I think your main thing is not all athletes are bullies, but also like you can be successful at a sport or anything, and in other words, I'm guessing that your message is just because you're a fan of something that might come off nerdy does not mean that you can't be a success at something else or at that very thing. I mean, I'm not gonna speak for you, bro. You tell me.
Yeah, no. Well, that's exactly like just because you like something that's, I guess, out of the norm, that doesn't mean that you're weird or anything. The people that are weird are the ones that are going out of their way to be so concerned with what you enjoy doing on your free time to sit there and make fun of you about it. Like, what is wrong with you, bro? Like, why do you care that I like to watch this show? Why does that make you want to go and say, "Oh, that's lame. Oh, that's corny. Oh, you whack"? Why? Why do you want to say that? Like, what makes you want to say that? Does that make you feel better about yourself? You know what I mean? Like, does that make you real? Do you really feel now? Can you sleep at night that you sat there and said, "Oh man, you watched that kids show"? I'm like, okay, yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. Like,
Right.
okay, what point are you making? Like,
Yeah,
you know,
you're basically saying you should be proud of who you are.
be proud of who you are, man. Because if you're not who you are, if everybody tried to conform to a norm, not a norm, but like if everybody just tried to conform to what's popular or what's happening or whatever, like, bro, we don't get any of the great inventions that we have. We don't get any of the awesome creative material that we see in entertainment, bro.
And not just that, but to take it on a little bit of a more, uh, I guess, materialistic vibe. In the '70s, somebody like Steve Wozniak would be considered a nerd, a loser, blah blah blah, and then he goes and he invents the Apple computer with Steve Jobs, and now he's a multi-billionaire who owns. I think he still owns a couple NBA teams, and it's just amazing to me, like dog, like being a nerd can get you rich, bro. Let's not forget that one. You know what I mean? That's another thing that's, I think, pretty interesting too. That is that if you're an expert in something, if you're obsessed with like computers, or obsessed with like cars, you might be the next like Steve Jobs. You might be the next inventor and not even realize it yet, because who knows what you're going to discover in 2 or 3, 4 years, or even 2 or 3 weeks.
Well, that's another thing, bro. Like, you look at, so when I first started lifting weights, I really kept track of my progress and I, took pride in my work and everything. And I actually, bro, I actually got called a weight room nerd. It's like, yeah, you
Thanks.
know what
Check
I
out
mean?
my
And then it was
triceps.
funny because then we had this one guy who was like, nobody messed with this dude. Like, he was as as tough as a freaking box of nails, bro. Like, you ain't mess with this guy. Like, he was straight Camden, New Jersey, tough dude, man. And one time we was in the weight room and he was bragging to one of his boys, like, yeah, yeah, you see him, you see Mike right here? They call Mike the weight room nerd, man. Like, that's how much he gets on these weights. They call him the weight room nerd, bro.
That's a compliment, man.
And that's how he was saying it, to like, yo, like, this dude is really about getting after these weights, and it's a, I'm like, wow, thanks. I mean, you're trying to make fun of me, like, oh, well, I bench this much this time. I'm like, yo, okay, I know you're upset you can't do it.
I mean, bro, I've had people tell me, because I'm an anime fan, but I'm not a hardcore anime fan. There's only about a few anime that I like. Yu Yu Hakusho. Like, I don't watch everything, but I've had people tell me, they're like, oh well, geekdom. All he knows about is Dragon Ball. Yeah, buddy, but I know more about Dragon Ball. I'm not gonna say it, bro. You know what I was gonna say. I'm not gonna say it because people are gonna say stuff, but yeah, I'm an expert at Dragon Ball, and I've made a living at it. So you should look at what I've done and be inspired by that. And I honestly feel that way. Like, if people are out there and they're an expert at like Walking Dead, make a Walking Dead channel. If you've read every Walking Dead comic, you should be doing Walking Dead content, talking about the difference between the TV show and the comic.
Right,
Uh,
right.
you should be doing that because there's a market out there for it.
Yo, instead of focusing your energy, like, okay, unless you're a paid critic, instead of focusing your energy or sitting there and talking about this person or that person, go do something more productive. Like, okay, for instance, right? This is one of the things about social media I dislike. It,
Oh, there's a lot of things I
but
dislike,
I'm
bro.
saying it gives everybody a voice who hasn't earned that right to address
Yep.
America. Like, I think about everything I had to go through before I had my first like press conference with the media. You know what I mean? Like cameras and microphone and everything, right? I had to really dedicate myself to my craft in high school. I had to focus. I had to take myself to a mind state that a lot of my peers weren't at already. You get what I'm saying? So I had to separate myself in a way. You know, I had to educate myself. When I got to college, I got around a whole different group of people that I never would have been able to get around had I just stayed home. You know what I mean? I got around guys that coached in the NFL, guys that played in the NFL. I'm I'm on a, I'm being taught how to deal with the media. I'm being taught PR stuff. Like I'm being taught how to present yourself. I'm being taught what to say, what not to say. You know what I mean? I'm going through years worth of training before I get my first chance to say something in front of a camera to where America can hear me. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like I worked myself to get to a point. Like, look at, I mean, say what you want about them, but like, look at politicians, everything they go through before they get a chance to be on TV and talk in front of people. Look at like the amount of time and effort you had to put into before you got close to 500,000 subscribers, bro. And you're going to get your gold button soon. I'm telling you, it's going to happen. But like, look at how much you've learned throughout that time. You know what I'm saying? And yo, like you're like now you're hosting an anime convention, right? You're a big
yeah,
part
you'll be there.
I'll be there. Now imagine if somebody who just woke up one day and now they're the MC at Command Con. Yeah, they like it's like, yo, you didn't earn the right to speak in front of all these people at Command Con, bro. You ain't go through you haven't gone through like that process. Like, and like everybody has a voice. Everybody,
You're talking about paying your dues.
right?
You're
Yeah.
talking about. That's the word
Thank
you're
you.
looking. Wrestlers know what we're talking about. Paying your
Pay,
dues, bro. I bet you the New Day know what we're talking
yeah,
about.
yeah, they do. You gotta pay your dues, bro. If you don't pay your dues, like money easily gotten is easily gone. That's all to it, bro. You know what I'm saying? So you got people that's on social media that ain't paid no dues when it comes down to freaking addressing the
Anything,
world,
really.
and now they can say something where everybody can see it. You know, it's like who has given you the right to be able to address this person that's worked their tail off to get to this point? Oh, you suck. What? What? If you haven't, like, if people are listening, if they haven't like gotten it by now, I have a low tolerance for BS.
So do I, bro. That's why we get along so
Yes, we
well.
do.
And it's just funny. It's just funny, bro. You've always got the dudes out there who they think that they can get one over on you, right? And then they end up getting clowned at. You know, like I'm not gonna go into any details. We don't have that much time, but it's just one of those things where like it just makes me laugh because they think that like that they're more righteous than you are or whatever when most of the people who are real deal will agree with you. They just won't publicly say it every time. You know what
No,
I mean?
they
Like
won't.
I've never I don't know, man. It's just a different generation, man. I think some of it is just different. I think it goes back to that everybody gets a trophy thing.
Duh.
I think they gotta learn to lose, bro.
You got to learn to lose, man. Because now people think they have the right to just say what they want, do what they want, and oh, I'm look. Everybody has the okay. Okay, everybody, we're all important. I'm not trying to say we're not. I'm not trying to say that. But everybody has entitlement
Yeah,
issues. Everybody has that. Well,
you gotta work for it, man. You gotta work for
exactly,
it.
without working for it. And social media does that. Social media, look at all these people that are blowing up and being stars over being idiots. Where you see, and then it's sad because they get mixed in, they get lumped in with other people who become popular and social media sensations, like some of these comedians. And it's like, you don't understand. That comedian has been working on being a funny person and a comedian for years, but finally they have a
That's
platform to
right.
where they can show it without having to go through the gymnastics of trying to get on TV and do stand up. Now it's like, you know what? I got my camera. Now I can edit my videos and I can put together and show how funny I am and eventually get on TV, get on Wild 'N Out, get movies. You're trying to compare these people who are dedicated to their craft to somebody who was just being an idiot and got caught on camera being an idiot.
right? And the thing is, man, you know, because you're a professional athlete, you know, it reminds me of that Michael Jordan commercial where that maybe I should that commercial that came out when LeBron had first gone to Miami with Michael Jordan. And he's like, maybe I made you think it was too easy. Maybe I made you think I didn't go to the gym every morning at 5 a.m. So when you read about these big high level athletes, right, like Kobe Bryant, you know, whether or not you agree with who they are as people or what they've done, it's irrelevant. We're talking about purely on a successful platform as far as like, you know, in the game, right? The guys who get up at 4 or 5 in the morning and go to the gym Monday through Friday, you know, or whatever your schedule is, the ones that grind out, this is work, bro. Like nobody wants to get up at 5 in the morning and go lift weights and tear up your body. But they know that, like, they basically trick themselves into wanting to do it because they know they have to do it, because if they don't do it, they won't succeed. You know what I mean? Like you
Yeah.
almost like, it's like you're, you know, we talked about it before. It's like you're fighting your own shadow, bro. Like you're fighting like an enemy that doesn't really exist. Like you're fighting with yourself. You know, and that's where it goes back to Dragon Ball. Like, you know, Goku, even when they were in peace times, Goku was
Yeah.
training, Vegeta was
Yes.
training, even when
Yeah.
there was no enemy, right? And look, if they weren't training, how many, like, look at the freaking, look, I mean, you know what's a great example of this? A great example. Nobody ever talks about this is Gohan the Buu Saga. Gohan dogged it. He was
Mm-hmm.
lazy. He couldn't get the job done. And that's a metaphor. Toriyama, bro, who he's, you know, now he's a little bit of an older guy, but he was a genius when he was younger. He's telling the audience, like, look, Gohan dogged it. Gohan could not be Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, whereas
No.
Goku and Vegeta were, because even during peace times, even when they had the rings, bro,
Mm-hmm.
they still wanted
Yes.
more and more and more,
Yes.
you know?
Yes.
You could shed some insight on that better than me, though, because you actually do that
Bro,
stuff.
I had a kid that I actually used to mentor tell me, hey man, Mike, man, remember, your off days are your on days. I'm like, dang,
Yeah.
he's right. If you're not willing to put that time in when ain't nobody watching you, when they not cheering your name and they not rolling out the red carpet and talking about how great you are, bro, then you ain't gonna get it. You not gonna get it. Like my mindset has always been, there's somebody out there way bigger, faster, and stronger than me, because I've been bullied, so I know what it's like to be the underdog. And I need to work to take down that mountain. And when I get on that field, I'll be like, I know you ain't worked harder than me, bro. I know you did. I'm about to
Yeah.
prove it today. And that's what it is. And that's how Goku and Vegeta were. They had that mindset. Vegeta knew I need to beat Kakarot. And Goku said, there's somebody out there bigger, faster, and stronger than me, and I need to be able to be. That's why every time somebody came up, Goku was like, yo, what's up? Let's throw them hands. Let's see who got it. Let me
Yeah.
see how I match up to you.
He's like an athlete, sort of,
He
you
is.
know,
Like,
right?
and two guys that don't get enough credit when it comes down to this are Piccolo and Ten Shinhan.
Yep.
Piccolo, in
Yep.
Super, Piccolo told Gohan, what, you think I was just sitting around this whole time?
Right. Right.
And we
Yeah. I'm
already
not. I'm.
know Ten Shinhan is so about it, he got his own dojo now.
Yeah, and he's not gonna be as strong as Goku and Vegeta, but it's more about like, again, he's chasing a shadow, bro. It's about
Yo,
personal
hey,
improvement. You know.
Piccolo, Ten Shinhan have techniques that can transcend the power scale. The Makan Kosai Po, if you don't
Is a death
notice
move.
anytime somebody blocked that, they deflected it off an angle. Because if it hit you directly, it's piercing you. And here's the deal. I didn't watch the last two episodes, and by the time this video airs, I would have had watched them and I'd be caught up. But we've never saw I don't know if this happened yet or not, or if Toriyama remembered it, but we've never saw the completed, fully charged Makan Kosai Po. Remember, Piccolo said this move ain't all the way done yet.
Yeah, he didn't master it. Yeah, yeah. You're right. We didn't see him. I mean, I don't remember us. You're right. I don't remember us ever. Maybe against Frost, but that was
The
so.
closest
You
thing
know, that was
to
way
it,
later.
and I think that might have just been creative liberties on Toriyama's part, Toriyama Sensei's part, was when they needed Gohan to distract Nappa, and he chickened out, and then Piccolo and Krillin both fired that blast, and Piccolo used like both of his hands, almost like his feet, but it was his hands, and it was like a giant looking Makan Kosai Po, but I don't think that was it. You know what I mean? because it was never explained. But other than that,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, bro.
And Piccolo had other moves too, like Hellzone Grenade. There were other things he did
Oh
too.
yeah,
There were other
nah,
moves he
no
did with
doubt.
it.
And then you look at, or Piccolo knows the Mafuba. There you go. You know. And then now let's look at Ten Shinhan, the Shin Kiko. Like, come on, bro. Like, we've seen that work. We've seen him deflect a blast from Majin Buu with Gohan absorbed with that, bro. A blast
Yeah,
that would have did some significant damage to Super Saiyan 3 Goku. And he
right.
deflected it.
Yeah,
Come on, man. Like, those four guys are the those four guys are the true martial artists. Trunks is the true superhero of the show. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, Trunks is the true,
yeah.
or future Trunks rather, is the true superhero of the show. And Gohan is a guy who, like,
He's just a family
he's a,
guy. He's a
yo, he's
family
like,
man.
look, man, I'm here if needed. You know what I mean? Like, I'm really not about this, and that's fine. But and that's another thing Toriyama was saying, like, you can't force something on somebody, no matter how much talent they may have at it. Because eventually their true character will come out. Gohan's true character was, man, look, I'm a scholar. I ain't with this fighting stuff, bro. Like, and that's why he wasn't able to handle it when he did get the ultimate power. He could have killed Cell. Nah, I'm getting cocky. He could have killed Boo. Nah, I'm getting cocky. Gohan is not a true fighter because,
I did a whole video on that one, brother.
yeah, bro,
Yep,
too
I remember that.
freaking, like, he's too cocky, dog. Cause he's not no true fight. He's not a true fighter. He's like, whoa, this is what it's like. Well, I'm about to show off. No, man, yo, you trained this hard to win the fight, not to drag it out. And plus, he can't
Right.
control his emotions. When he fought Cell, it was, I'm going to make you suffer because I'm mad. No, kill that Joker. What you doing? You know
Yep.
what I mean?
They were all telling him to. He wasn't listening.
Right. He could not control his emotions because he's not a true fighter. He's a guy that was just thrown in the mix, a guy that had great ability that was thrown in the mix. That's another thing. If you have the great ability, but you're not willing, hard work beats talent when talent don't work hard. Look how Vegeta continuously surpassed Gohan, who at a point, Gohan was stronger than Vegeta when Vegeta had years, decades worth of training over Gohan, and Gohan was 11.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep. It was like Goku wanted to shape him in his own image, bro. This is deep. He wanted to shape him in his own image, but realized that he wasn't him. And Piccolo called him out
Yeah,
on it. Remember?
yeah, he did. He did,
Yeah.
like, and Piccolo knew, like, yo, first of all, like, and that's the flaw of Goku, though. Think about it. Piccolo was able to get it out of Gohan. Goku couldn't. Why? Goku, your son's not like you. Yes, he does have a fighting spirit. Both of his parents are martial artists, but that's not on his priority list. Piccolo knew that's like Piccolo. That's why I love him so. Like, yo, I would love to have Piccolo as my coach. Why? Because Piccolo knows how to
Right.
get the best out of you. If
That's
Goku
right.
couldn't get it out of Gohan, that's his own dad, but Piccolo could. Think about that. Piccolo knew how to, as a football player, right? Coaching is everything. A great coach can do more with less than a subpar coach. Subpar coach, you can give them you give them the keys to the you know what I mean, to the Porsche. They gonna crash it. A bad coach, man, they'll get themselves a box Chevy and have that thing pimped out and be blazing you on the tracks, man.
You make the best. You accentuate the positives and hide the negatives. Right. Make the best of a bad
Bro, make
situation.
the negatives into positives. Make your
Right.
weaknesses your strengths.
I hope everybody's listening, man. Before we get out of here, bro, we're gonna close out on this, bro. What are your favorite Dragon Ball No, let me twist that. What is your most inspiring Dragon Ball moment that you pull from when it comes to overcoming adversities, whether it be losing a game or fumbling a play or going out there and winning? Like, what is to you your most inspirational Dragon Ball moment from the
So,
series?
okay, like I said, the music can definitely, like, music makes scenes for me. And then animation. And there's one scene that I'll catch myself watching going into a you know, on in my locker during the game. And one of my teammates actually saw me watching one time. He just looked and chuckled, like, not on some like, oh, what are you doing, but on some like, man, that's just Mike doing what he do. Like on some like, I get you, man. That's what's up. Like out of respect. But it was
Right.
the beginning, I think, of Japanese episode 99 or 98. I think
Goku versus
Goku
Frieza.
versus
Was that
Frieza.
was
It
you
was
know?
so Goku went Super Saiyan, phenomenal animation. Then the next episode
Yep.
was like that kind of real cartoony, weird looking animation. And then the next
Yeah, but that's when he gave the speech though.
right. Then the next episode, it was like the animation where they had like those like I call like an evil eye kind of look where Frieza first put the blast into the planet, right? Then it was this episode, which has my favorite animation. And it's the opening, it's like the opening episode. Like you watch the because the last episode, the theme that plays whenever they talk about the last episode was always awesome to me. So like you get in the mood watching that, and then it's like first you go with child eye head child eye, right? Then you go into that.
Yeah.
Then you go into and then they show the title card, right? And then as soon as
Yes, of
that little
course.
jingle ends, you just hear this ominous music in the background, and Goku's flying at Frieza. Ah! Frieza braces himself, and Goku just starts laying body hit,
That's right.
bro.
You're
I'm like, yo, and it wasn't one of those fast fight scenes. It was one of those like, yo, every hit he's laying hurts, hurts.
Yep, I think that's episode 97,
Is it
bro.
97?
I
Okay,
think.
and
I think
and
so.
like it's funny because then in the dub line and this scene looked so live animated, especially when it came out when Frieza said, don't get cocky, you know what I mean, and he hit him with like a ki, but in the gratuitous what it might have been S. Baldrick, I think, fan dub, where he said
Well, it was probably Anime Labs for Frieza.
Anime Labs. He said,
S. Baldrick did the cooler
okay, yeah,
movies.
it was Anime Labs. He said, "Don't f with me," and I'm like, did he really say that? But like that little scene from the beginning of the episode, you watching Dragon Ball, you're like, okay, this is gonna be good. Last episode I saw, Goku was charged at the Frieza. You know what I mean? The episode ended on Goku, screenshot on Goku's face. This joint opened up with Goku coming at him like he was hot. Like he was like, yo, I'm not about to let you blow this planet up, bro. I'm about to kill you. Seriously. And every time I hit you, it's gonna hurt. And when he kneed that Joker in the stomach and Frieza came and that blood came out of his mouth, I was like, yo,
That's right.
Goku is not playing any games with this dude, man. He's not playing any games with this guy, man. Like, then when he uppercutted him, it just sent him flying. And then there was one point where Frieza got knocked into a crater. He flipped and then he landed and he looked up and Goku came with he had like his arms up like he's flexing and he had both of his feet together and boom, crashed down and Frieza escaped. And then he comes to go back and then like Frieza's trying to fly away and Goku's flying. He's saying like, what do you say? Like, what's wrong? You don't think, or I don't know what he said to him. But I do remember the dub line. It was funny because he's like, "What's the matter?" But yeah, because Goku was saying like, just telling him like, what? You trying to power up or something like that? And then he's at Zalkin's in front of him and like kicks him up in the air and like, it was just an awesome episode. Like that scene right there, I'll watch that. And it's the music, it's the track from when Goku went false Super Saiyan in the Lord Slug movie. It's that
Yeah.
theme, you know what I mean? Which I love because I think it has like a real ominous tone, yet it's like an action tone at the same. Like it's weird. Like that's one thing about the Dragon Ball music, bro. In the original series, is like the music could convey 3 different emotions out of you.
Only 3? Which 3?
I mean, shoot, I was just trying to put a cap on it. You know what I'm saying? But it'll take you through a cycle of emotion. Like that theme within itself could fit into so many different things. Like, okay, here's another theme I love so much. And mind you, everything is a great setup to all this. You know what I'm saying? What made that scene so great to me was because, you watch Chala Hechala, You know, it's all everything's upbeat music, upbeat title cards, upbeat, and all of a sudden you get this ominous tone, and it's a pissed off Goku. Like, you just insulted, you just made fun of killing my best friend, bro. Like, thank you for reminding me. I'm about to put these hands on you.
That's
You
right.
know, and he
That's
did that.
right.
But another,
When he told me that you're talking about Krillin, you're talking about Krillin.
bro,
Wow, that
bro,
was awesome,
bro.
bro.
And one more time before we get out, another, like, since we're talking about music, like another scene that really, or another background song, I guess whatever you want to call it, that really resonates with me that I love is, it was when and mind you, first time I heard this was when I was watching the old grainy VHS fan dub. So that already made it creepy, you know what I mean? But it kind of has like a
Right.
creepy tone to it, bro. It was when after, remember when Vegeta killed all of Frieza's men in his spaceship? When he,
You talking about in the Guard Junior
no, no,
arc,
no, no,
or
no, this is during the Frieza saga. It was
when he was escaping?
yeah, when he was escaping and he was killing everybody in the
That's
ship.
right. Yeah.
A lot of people forget Vegeta went through a massacre in that spaceship, bro. People forget that. So that's another thing that makes the scene so awesome, because you kind of forget, like it'll elude you that, yo, I forgot Vegeta killed all these people up in here, and like nobody disposed of the bodies. So it was after Ginyu turned into a frog and Goku got in his back in his body and his body's all beat up, right? Vegeta's like, all right, y'all come on in the ship. And also it plays to the characters too, because Gohan and Krillin, the music they play, first of all, just it makes it perfect. Because Gohan and Krillin, when they're walking through the ship and they're carrying Goku and they see all these dead bodies, mind you, these are the bad guys, right? They're
Right.
mortified. They're like, oh my goodness.
Almost nobody talks about that scene, man. That's interesting. That's not one that gets brought up a lot.
Yeah,
You know.
like it's a, and the theme is so like just morbid and creepy and like just it fit perfectly. And mind you, Vegeta's just walking like, yeah, all right, we gotta get him to the chamber. But like that's like one of those things, like that's attention to detail, because people will forget, like, yo, Vegeta caught bodies on that shit, bro.
The body count in that whole arc was pretty
It
crazy,
was
because the thing is, it wasn't obviously the Buu arc when you see the Earth get blown up, and that's the biggest body count of all of Dragon Ball
right.
Z. But with the what made the Namek arc different, I thought, is that it was a systematic, little by little destruction. Like they show up, and you already have Frieza's men killing children and old men,
Yeah.
breaking their necks. Then you have Vegeta killing some of his men. Then you have like they're going through each Namekian village, bro,
Yeah.
like one by one, like killing them.
Yeah.
I think that is it's more impactful than just the Earth
Oh,
blowing
oh,
up. You know
so
what I
much
mean?
more impactful. So much
Because you
more
see
impactful.
it, you see every death. Yeah.
But like I said, and mind you, when I first saw it, like I'm in fourth grade. I'm like, yo, this is the most dope. This thing is so cool. I'm like, this is what Dragon Ball Z is really all about. I'm like, I need to watch this in the original Japanese more often, man. You know what I mean? I'm telling you, like when they walked through that ship, like they Gohan and Krillin were so mortified, bro. Mind you, Gohan is 6 years old at this point, or 5, excuse me. You know, and granted, he
Yep.
done seen some carnage, but like he's like new to all this, bro. And that's another thing people forget too. Gohan is the youngest fighter that's ever been. Gohan's seen a lot of stuff he shouldn't have seen at his age. Stuff that Goku didn't have to see. Stuff that Vegeta trained with freaking green plants, so they weren't like. And plus, he was brought up to be, uh, a tyrant. But like Gohan went from being coddled in his mother's arms at 4 years old to being abducted by this green
To
demon.
seeing
And
to seeing yeah I was gonna say, to seeing all of a bunch of adults die, like my buddy Mr. Fusion brought it up recently in one of his videos, how people criticize the filler in the Saiyan arc because they say, oh man, it contradicts the fact that later on Gohan wasn't capable when the fight came down. But it's like, no, there's a difference between learning how to survive in the forest and then seeing several of your dad's best friends getting killed one by one. There's a difference there, homie. You could survive in the forest and figure out how to make a fire, but seeing your dad's friends get wiped out one by one is a totally different kind of trauma. You know
And
what I'm
just
saying?
think about, like, okay, adults get over stuff and they realize, okay, this is what it is, right? You know what I mean? Has Gohan really, like, by the time, like, the Buu arc stuff, has Gohan really fully gotten over Vegeta doing everything that he's done? Gohan has some,
PTSD, bro.
mind you, Piccolo and all them wasn't on Namek with Vegeta. Gohan buried the Nameks, bro. He had to bury the Nameks that Vegeta killed.
That's right.
And mind you,
And he
listen,
was
bro,
5 years old.
Gohan was 4 when he met his first Namek, who was like a father to him, right? Think about that.
Well, he didn't know. He didn't even know it was a Namek back then.
Right.
Remember? He
Exactly.
didn't even know.
Exactly. But now he's like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna go meet a bunch of other Uncle Piccolos. Yo, this bastard just killed a whole village of them, bro. Now I gotta work with this jerk. Like, bro, like, has Gohan really fully forgiven Vegeta? Have we ever asked that? Have we ever asked that?
Maybe I'll do a video about that.
You know?
I mean,
that's why I think future Gohan gravitated so hard to Kid Trunks. Cause he was like, bro, it's not your fault, man.
Your dad was a bad person
it's not
sometimes.
Your fault. And now you're dragged into hell just like I was. I'm gonna take, yes, you could draw the parallels between him and Piccolo, but his was more of a it's not your fault type thing. Whereas I think Piccolo in some weird odd way started to kind of have that mindset when he got a little more, when that demon got up out of him. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think Piccolo started to have that kind of sentiment towards Gohan, hey, bro, it's not your fault. It's not.
Yeah, well, that was he softened him up. Gohan softened him up without question. That was the whole narrative of Piccolo.
Yeah, but people forget, Piccolo, when you're 4 years old and this guy, you're with him for a whole year, your dad is dead, you're like, okay, that's my new dad then. That's like, well, he's not my dad, he's my uncle. I didn't even see my family.
It's a meme.
And now, I get to finally go to his home planet. Mind you, Gohan was like, yo, I'm going to Namek, bro. I'm going. Mom, shut up. I'm going. He's 5 years old, mind you. And this Joker, he sees the massacre of these people who looked like his uncle's people. He's like, man, if Uncle Piccolo only had a friend, he'd be okay. Oh, wow. Look at a bunch of Uncle Piccolos. He could come here and have friends. Oh, you killed them all?
And not to mention that Piccolo had a history of being the demon because of his dad. These Namekians were legit good people. They didn't mess with nobody.
Legit, bro.
Right? That made it worse. Like, that whole arc is tragic because Frieza goes to their planet looking for the balls, and Vegeta does too. They didn't even want no beef. All they did was make these balls, man. They're paying for it. That arc, I might do a whole video about this one later on. That arc is really reminiscent of, like, when you hear stories of, like, how can I put this and keep it PG? Like, civilizations getting destroyed by man, like when the Spaniards came to Mexico and killed all of the Aztecs and whatnot and took their women, just because they wanted their land. Like, the Namekians didn't do nothing, but they came, like, that whole thing. Like, there's some pretty tragic stuff there, bro, when, like, technology and weapons and guns, that whole thing, they went in there and just, massacred them. And it's I don't even know what the word. I guess genocide would be the word.
What?
Like, it was just, at least, but in the real life, we don't have Dragon Balls. That's the problem.
And that's why, like, I wish Piccolo would have been able to have more. I wish they would have played more onto Piccolo, like, coming to terms with, like, well, I guess him fusing with Nail, but that could have been viewed more as a selfish thing, either, But, like, I wanted there to be more of, like, Piccolo coming to terms with, bro, this is my home, yo. Like, bro, and you are the reason that, like, no, bro, hell no. You know what I mean? I wish they would have let Piccolo, like, lay them hands on Frieza a little bit more. You know what I mean? At least give us another episode of that before they just let Frieza transform again and just start throwing them little finger blasts at him. Not to use that term, but
Well, when they did, it was Nail talking through him. You know what I'm talking about?
yeah, yes, exactly, bro, exactly. So it's I don't know, but that's why I think the irony, not I don't know if irony is the right word, but bringing Frieza back out of all the villains, that's why they keep bringing him back because he's very his whole arc,
He draws money
bro.
too.
Yeah, oh no, Frieza's a draw. Frieza's a big draw. He is. You know.
Yeah, I'm still waiting to see what happens. I mean, by the time that this goes up live, we might have an answer, but I don't. We'll see. We'll see. So, Mike, man, any final words you want to tell the people out there? Any final messages you want to tell them as far as what you're doing, what the goal is, Dragon Ball, anything you want to talk about, man? The floor is yours before we get out of here.
Man, I just want to say, be yourself, everybody. When you see somebody being messed with, man, on my cleats I put be a hero, not a bully. You know what I'm saying? I got Goku right there. He's a martial artist, but he is a hero. So don't be afraid to, like, especially kids in school and even adults, if you're in these positions of power, like I mentioned earlier, and you witness bullying, like, step in, man. Step in and stop it because you may even end up helping the bully more than you helping out the bullied.
Yeah,
Because you're
yeah,
showing
because they
that you
need help
care.
too. They need help too
They
sometimes.
do need help, or else they wouldn't be doing what they're doing. So it's hey man, Dragon Ball, look, enjoy it, man. We got a resurgence of the show with Super and Kai on air, the Buu Saga, and we got Dragon. Like, I love how it's coming on once a week too, so we can stretch it out. You know what I mean? We got
That's the way it was in Japan, man,
exactly,
when Z was airing.
exactly. We got Super coming on TV out here too. So, hey, take care of each other.
Take care of yourself and each other. That's what I always say. And thank you, Mike, for spending some time with me here today. I didn't think we were going to spend this much time together, man. I appreciate you taking time out to talk to me about, your history and your connection with Dragon Ball. And where can the people find you at, bro? What's the best way to reach you if somebody wants to reach you?
Okay, so if you want to reach me, and I do not know these by heart, excuse me. Okay, I am on Twitter. Believe it or not, don't be afraid to follow. Uh, uh, at Mike_Daniels 76. You can
Yep.
reach me there, follow me, at me or whatever. I usually respond. If I don't, I apologize, but I will try my best to get to you. And definitely catch me on Instagram. Um, my name on Instagram is just Mike Daniels. That's it. I'm the only Mike Daniels with
Simple.
a blue check. Come find me, follow me, DM me. Let's talk some
That
Dragon
blue
Ball.
check must be nice, bro.
Hey man, it's pretty cool. It's crazy because I'm the only Mike Daniels on. Like, I'm like the Mike Daniels on Instagram. It's crazy.
Well, you're the Mike Daniels, bro. There's actually some singer named Mike Daniels, too,
Oh
bro, that I was
yeah, and
looking
I think there's
into.
like a producer for like TV shows or something too.
Yeah, yeah. Well, you got the check first. You beat everybody out to it. So thank you. Hey, take care of yourself, man, and take care. Obviously, stay as injury free as possible, and hopefully, everything will work out for you in your career, and you have a good career. I think you will. And we'll keep watching Dragon Ball and nerding out over it, bro. 'Cause there's nothing wrong with it.
Absolutely, man. Hey, I just had one request. Bring me back, please.
Well, yeah, we gotta. That whole last topic we talked about would be a separate topic altogether, bro. Like, this is just the introduction to Mike to my channel. Then we got more topics. There's a lot of topics, bro. There's a lot of little things like Piccolo and all that stuff we could talk about later for sure.
Yeah, bro. Hey, you and I, we are freaking long-winded dudes. I, yo, I can't wait to talk. That's all I gotta say.
All right. Well, thank you, and thanks everybody for listening. We'll catch y'all down the road.